Hey Tyler, how are you doing, man?
How am I doing? Well, Phoenix is in the Western Conference Final. I get to call the Eastern Conference Final as well. I would say I'm mediocre at best.
Yeah, I was going to say tough days for you here. Um,
Exactly.
well, the good news was, as we were just talking about, you had this Phoenix Rising game that was almost manic, and then you had this Louisville game, which was almost a big snooze fest,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
and the OC game for that matter, just was not exciting. So let's do this. Let's start off with Phoenix Rising playing this huge playoff game and getting the big W. What did you see from the team that you liked? What do you think they're going to take forward?
So what I liked was, at least from the first half, obviously the resiliency after going down 2-1. I thought that was great. Sticking to the game plan, right? That was something that Devin and I mentioned on the broadcast, was that in the first 20 minutes against T2, they basically went rogue and they went AWOL and just weren't following the directions of Rick Schantz and the rest of the coaching staff in terms of the game plan that they had laid out. You
Hmm.
could see in the first half and even into the second half, they really stuck to the game plan. They were happy to let Swope Park have possession because these young kids were like, look at us, we can string together 40, 50 passes together, but, Phoenix is going to have a nice tight block, a little bit further down the field. The line of confrontation wasn't particularly high, and then they were able to go on the other end. So that, seeing that and seeing a determination to stick to the game plan, the focus, the level of concentration throughout the game was excellent. The amount of deflections that led to beneficial plays for both teams was
Yeah,
obscene. I mean,
it was.
the the deflection off of, I forget whether it was Joey Farrell or Tristan Blackman for the first Swope Park goal. The deflection off of Amadou Dia from Carlton Belmar's cross to Haji Berry that looped perfectly for Berry to just be able to hammer it home. The Kavan Lambert, not one but two deflections. The deflection that let the ball fall to Lambert, and then the deflection on the shot. I mean, it was outrageous, but they found a way to just put together a Phoenix Rising goal scoring performance, right? I mean, it was dollar beer night. There was always going to be a win. Then it was just a matter of how many goals that there were going to be. The ability to close it out in the end. I mean, how about Cortez just defensively? Because he didn't have a great game offensively. He scored the equalizing goal after Swope Park went up 2-1. But Devin and I were talking about it. He was non-existent up until that goal, and offensively wasn't really.
Mm.
But everybody, who came on did an excellent job. Didier getting the insurance goal was just a match made in heaven. It was just an incredible night, and that would I tweeted it afterwards. That's one of those nights where you just sort of sit back and it's just why you love the game. It was an unbelievable night. I know for you guys, being there, just professional football for Arizona with all the stars that were out there, Jordan Sparks, Frankie Muniz, Larry Fitzgerald, Teddy was there. It was a perfect night in Arizona for professional football. I don't think it could have gone any better because Swope Park are a formidable opponent, and I don't think that anybody was expecting to run over them 4-0. There was always going to be resistance,
Hmm.
and they just put on a show, plain and simple.
It was a roller coaster ride, and that's what we want from sports. We don't want to have a boring game. So that was really, really great. The thing that you just brought up, and you do say it in your commentary, was that Chris Cortez at the end of the game. It was an exclamation point to me because when he made that tackle, and Chris is not known for his defense and for tackling players, right? When he made that tackle on the sideline and Solomon got the ball, I was waiting for the coach interviews at the right behind the goal,
Yeah,
and I was watching and Cortez, and I was like, "Wow, nice tackle, Chris." We're just buying time, to get to the end of the game.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, Solomon comes streaking down the middle, and I look over and I see Drogba on a run, and I was like, "This is going to happen."
Exactly. And Devin, and it's funny that you say that because Devin is, I'm trying to prepare myself for the call that's coming. And of course, I see Drugma making the run, and Devin is like banging me on the shoulder. He goes, look, Didier's making the run. It's going to happen.
It was crazy. It was a great night, and the thing you used the right word, resiliency. We've gotten our resiliency back. I think we learned it from Portland, because we didn't have it in the first game, and then
Yeah.
it started to come back in the second game, and then we really came back hard resiliency wise against Swope Park, and I give Swope Park all credit. They are a young team. but they did play well. My biggest fear, we talked about this a little bit, is that I love our defense and our defense plays really well, but there seem to be lapses where all of a sudden holes and gaps. I don't know if it's blown coverage. I don't know, what's causing it. I need to actually watch the film a little bit more, but there are times where all of a sudden things just open up. And from where I sit on the field, I can see it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if that guy takes a shot, well, I don't know. I don't remember the striker's name. We call him Cisco, the guy with the blonde hair,
Yeah.
whatever his name is. He had a couple of times where he could have just shot the ball and he didn't take the shot. I don't know why. I think, didn't he come down from the MLS?
Cisco or Espria in Portland
Well, we
Timbers?
call him Cisco because of his hair.
Dyron Espria. Yeah. I don't know. I know what instance you're talking about, but you would figure that a guy who comes down for the MLS and has, 25, 30 some odd appearances with the first team would, not be afraid to have a rip. But, it really does take an incredible amount of confidence, especially in a playoff game, especially, coming down to a team like that. You're not particularly comfortable with it. You're comfortable with the level of play because you know that you can definitely play there. But in terms of sort of putting the team on your shoulders and saying, all right, I'm going to carry us to the finish line, that's sort of a different story. But those defensive lapses, they're just going to happen, right? You're in the playoffs. You're playing against good teams that have had winning records, that have a lot of talent. The one thing that you don't want to make sure that doesn't happen is just unforced errors in your own defensive third. There are going to be breakdowns defensively, right? I mean, it's just the way that it goes. That's how teams, get their chances. And if Phoenix were perfect and, weren't letting up chances and had no breakdowns defensively and were still scoring the amount of goals that they do, they wouldn't be playing in the USL, right? So,
Sure.
Breakdowns are going to happen. It's just part of the game. And, you just need to be able to limit your chances. You need to make sure that the likes of Tristan Blackman, Joey Farrell, Mike Lafont, who's ever playing in the center back role, gets a touch to something, make sure that they're putting pressure on the defender when it happens, and that Carl Wazinski is going to have a big game. Those are the only things that you can hope for.
No, I agree. And who I really think, there are a couple of players I think are on fire. Number one's Kevin Lambert. I just think Lambert's on a roll that's the best on the team. I think Joe Farrell is doing a phenomenal job.
Absolute beast.
He is all over the place. He seems to have gotten legs that I didn't see earlier in the season. Mm-hmm. He's playing a lot smarter. He's playing a lot more aggressively. Everything I can say about him is nothing but goodness. And that's going to help us with OC. OC, to me, overall doesn't have a huge attacking squad except for their one striker who scored this weekend. I can't think of his name right now.
Aiden Quinn.
I'm sorry?
Aiden Quinn.
Yeah, Aiden Quinn. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't think of Aiden. Aiden is a huge threat all the time. I'm sure he's going to be marked the entire game. It's going to be interesting to see how we face off with them. But the rest of Orange County, the only thing I fear is that they seem to get our number and frustrate us. The tie at the beginning of the year, and they've done it in the past, and we swap wins and draws and losses with them. It's never given with OC, and that's why I think they're our arch nemesis team, because you have to respect them, and they're a pain in the ass. When you see Phoenix going into Orange County, do you think that what Orange County is going to face is going to be similar to what Swope Park had to put up with this past week?
No, it's going to be a very you know what? It's going to be interesting to see how both coaches approach it, because Orange County doesn't do it as much, but definitely pretty darn close to the amount of possession that they're going to have, like Swope does, right? I mean, Swope, one of the best possession teams in the USL. It doesn't always get you across the finish line, as I'm sure a lot of Phoenix fans can attest to. But I think that you'll see a similar approach from Rick and the coaching staff, just in terms of letting them have it at certain points of the game. And I'll tell you what, the lack of pace along the Orange County back line should be a concern for them, because Swope Park, between Justin Bilyeu, Colton Storm, Amir Jidic, and Graham Smith, those are young guys who can move a little bit. Alex Cronali and Hume at the back for Orange County aren't exactly fleet of foot. So it's going to be interesting, because Orange County are going to know that if they do hold too much possession and Phoenix are going to counter the entire game, that there's going to be a lot of space and a lot of room to run for Phoenix.
Yeah.
If you remember back to the game that they won, where Cody got sent off, they were all over OCS, like all over them. I mean, they were lucky the fact that like Phoenix hadn't put in 4 or 5 in the first half.
Sure.
And Cody gets sent off in the 35th minute, and then everything starts to, go back to Orange County's way. But even then, Phoenix still looked pretty good because they were still, absorbing a lot of the pressure and still able to move forward. So it's going to be a very, very intriguing matchup because they're 1-1-1 on the season, both teams. The draw at the beginning of the season, it's tough, because they're such a different team. Patrice was still coaching. The loss was bizarre. Phoenix just sort of put their heads down after the second goal, after the penalty, whatever it was, and then gave up the weak Michael Seaton goal, and then fought their way back and make it 4-3, and had everybody thinking they were going to complete the best comeback of the USL season. So it's anybody's guess, really. I will say this: it's gonna be a Phoenix home game, 1,000%. And like it's just the way that it is. I mean, and Devin and you and I have had this conversation. I don't think many people are concerned about going to play at Orange County. It's not necessarily a huge advantage like Phoenix had playing against Swope Park. I mean, Sam texted Devin and I after the game, and Sam's seen a lot of USL soccer, and he's seen much bigger stadiums than Phoenix. And he was like, I've never heard a soccer stadium like that in the USL before, ever.
It was loud. It was electric. I mean, it was incredible. Just a fun fact, there's a guy who calls himself the Ghost of Luke Rooney on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen him.
Yeah.
He tweeted out a Ticketmaster map, and the only section in Orange County
is sold out.
So it's going to be a 5-hour bus ride of, shall we say, adult beverage consumption, capitalized, or going to a game. We're going to be primed and ready. It's going to be loud.
I will say this, that you guys are brutal on Twitter. The hashtag Orange County Hate Week. I mean, you guys kill me with that stuff. It's so bad, but it's so good.
We have gotten a little bit salty, but hope, we just got to make sure that we back it up. Our team's got to go in and win. I agree with you. I think that our speed is really going to be key to beating Orange County. We're a different team than we were at the beginning of the season. If we'd had the team we have today playing Orange County at the beginning of the season, we would have just torn them apart. I think JJ's coming into form, and I think that's going to be huge.
Huge.
I will really miss Alessandro Riggi, because he would bring a lot to the plate, I think, in a game like this.
And how about James Musa?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, Colin's done an excellent job of filling in, but people forget that Phoenix have had some bad injuries this year and some bad luck. I mean, JJ going down for a month and a half right before the playoffs, Riggi going down for the season, Musa, it probably is going to be done for the rest of the season, still a question mark. But, I mean, those are two huge pieces, and Riggi was just coming into form, and really was starting to deserve his minutes. So
he was so frustrated.
Yeah.
But the one other thing that I think is going to be the real mixer is Didier Drogba on the field. And I really think that this is going to be a positive thing. They are going to have to mark him. They are going to have to watch him. He's made statements over the past couple of weeks that he's on the field and you cannot leave him alone. And he's been the creativity leader on this team now for the past 2 games. And that creativity, I think, is going to be key, not only for OC, but if we get to Louisville and if Louisville actually beats Red Bulls, it's going to be key into beating them also. In fact, I'd almost rather go against Louisville at this point than I would New York Red Bulls based on the one game that I've watched with the Red Bulls. They looked impressive. So we'll have to see. So let's segue into that. You called the game against Louisville on Saturday. I watched a little bit of it, fell asleep. Let's say in the perfect world, we get past in the U.S. Cup final. How do you see that working out?
Well, here's the tough thing. It would be at Louisville, which is it. The field is just, I really don't want to say anything more about it just because I do call their games, but anybody who watches it, I mean, I don't know when you fell asleep, but it was just like, people are slipping all over the place. There was one time where somebody carried the ball into a specific part of the field and the ball elevated because the part of the baseball field, like it's not sodded down properly. It's tough to play. So with that said, the care that Phoenix would need to have with the ball when they have it, so that Louisville isn't transitioning constantly, would need to be immense. And it's just they're a system team, right? I mean, even with the coaching change with James O'Connor going to Orlando City and John Hackworth coming in, I mean, Brendan Burke, the coach of Bethlehem, told us, he said, it doesn't necessarily change them stylistically. It changes the way that they build. So they're a bit more direct with Hackworth, which should bode well for Phoenix when you think about it, because they're so athletic at the back between Joey and Tristan and Mike and Amadou and Saad. You know, like they should be able to deal with the pace. I mean, Cameron Lancaster is not particularly fast. He should beat. I wouldn't think that he would beat Tristan or Joey in a foot race consistently, unless he had a step or two, obviously. But it would be a really, really interesting matchup. If Red Bull win, then it would be at Phoenix. And Red Bull is an enigma. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, Louisville had a game with Red Bull at Red Bull 2, I want to say 2 months ago. It was a 6-4 finish, right? And Red Bulls 2 were up 2-0. Louisville scored 4 unanswered.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was just like, you just never know what you're going to get. They're so young, but they're so talented. I mean, you could make the argument that Red Bulls and Sporting Kansas City, I'm talking about the MLS teams now, from top to bottom have had the best organizations in North American soccer over the past 10 years. When you look, New York Red Bulls just won their 3rd Shield. Their USL team has gotten to 3 conference finals against Louisville. And their academy teams are always in the running for the Academy National Championship. Sporting Kansas City, they've won U.S. Open Cups. They've won MLS Cups. They're the first seed in the Western Conference. And Swope Park, 2-time defending Western Conference champions. Obviously, they're not going to have a chance to defend it this year. And, they've fallen short in 2 USL Cup finals. So there's just an incredible amount of talent from top to bottom in the organizations, not just Swope Park and not just New York Red Bulls too, but from the top of the pyramid all the way to the bottom. So, Phoenix will have their work cut out for them either way. It's a final, right? They should. If they were steamrolling over a team 5-0 in the USL Cup final, there would be an issue. But I mean, the game, the Eastern Conference game, which I'll be on the call for, it's anybody's guess. It really is, because New York Red Bulls 2 are that unpredictable, and it's that unpredictable on the field. Louisville are used to it, and that's why they have the advantage, and that's why it's home field advantage. But it's such a tough place to play. Really, terrain and the fans. The Coopers are a great support group. It's gonna be a wild weekend. I mean, I think that you really couldn't have asked for 2 better matchups. I think FC Cincinnati and Louisville would have been great, but FC Cincinnati didn't get it done, and they don't deserve to be there. I mean, if you're going to lose at home against the New York Red Bulls 2 side, you shouldn't be in the Cup final. You just shouldn't.
Well, I agree, and honestly, I think that Cincinnati-Louisville game would have been fairly uneventful. There would have been a winner, but it wouldn't have been exciting.
Yeah.
You articulated it better than I said it. Red Bulls are so unpredictable; you really don't know what you're going to get, and that's what makes me afraid of them. It's like, it's that unpredictability, and that's what I think we're going to need to bring to the plate is some unpredictability. It's going to be interesting to see with Louisville. Cameron is I'm not going to say he's out of form, but I think he's had 1 score in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything of any note that I saw. I didn't see a lot of the game, but what I saw, he was a presence, but he wasn't a presence. He was just present on the field.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that he's kind of out of form right now. That's a good thing. It's like you said, the teams that are together, first of all, OC Phoenix, I mean, it's going to be a battle royale, and it's going to be a big battle between Red Bulls and Louisville if we get the good Red Bulls. And I think you said it much better than me. You just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
If they don't show up, they're going to get trounced, because Louisville is boring, but they are clinical. They know how to win games. If you watch Louisville sometimes, you get the feeling that they've been programmed more than they just play. There's that movement, especially in the back half of their team, where you can almost just see it like a flock of geese. We're going this way, then we're going that way. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of off-putting because it comes off a little bit robotic to me. I mean, it works. I'm not slamming them. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but it just seems to be kind of Barcelona-ish, if that makes sense. But not as good, of course. Anyways, I'm just looking forward to it. If everything were predictable, I wouldn't bother being a fan. There's got to be risk because that makes the reward that much better.
Yeah.
OC is got to be concerned about us coming in because we are red hot right now. There's just no other way to put it. Arguably the hottest team out of the 4 that are left. Whether that translates to wins or not, time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, we're going to talk a lot of smack.
Hashtag Orange County Hate Week. I will not get involved in that. I will not debase myself to that. But, I enjoy watching it, I must say.
It's just good for a laugh, man. It really is. It's like with Cincinnati. That whole regular season champion thing just irked me so much. All I could do is we mocked it on our show. I mocked it in Twitter. I just put something up today about it. It's just like, you know what? You guys are ridiculous. Anyways, so you're going to be making the call for the game with Phoenix. Are you going to be on the game? Are you going to be on the game for Louisville and Red Bulls?
Yes. So Devin and I will have the call of Louisville and Red Bull 2 on Friday. And then Devin and I will have the call, obviously, for Phoenix and Orange County, but it's only going to be available on Cox and on Fox Sports 9:10 a.m. So then Mike Watts and Matt Stubbington will have the ESPN Plus call for Orange County and Phoenix on Saturday night. So
cool.
Whatever the watch party is in Phoenix, I don't know how many fans are going to be left that aren't going to be at the game, but
both of them.
We'll be able to hear Devin and I. It's going to be the least exciting watch party of the season because everybody's going to be in Irvine.
Yeah, I was talking to Brett Johnson after the game, and he's like, I'm going to get 10 buses, put them in the parking lot, and people load up and go. I was like,
I love Brett. He's unbelievable. He's one of the nicest guys.
Yeah, he is great. And, a bit of a plug to you, if you haven't seen it, the interview I did with Brett and Burke this past week just demonstrates why this club is being successful in every way, shape, and form. It just comes down to the ownership and how fantastic those two are and the rest of the ownership group. This is not a fluke. Phoenix Rising is not a fluke. We've just got great people dedicated to getting this done.
Absolutely.
So in the meantime, I know you've got USL stuff. You got CONCACAF coming up.
If anybody wants a little fix of me and Mike Watts together, I will be the analyst. Mike will be the play-by-play. So I'm wearing a different hat than I normally do. CONCACAF League final leg number 2 between FC Motagua and Herediano, 2 teams who were in the CONCACAF Champions League last year. Should be a good match. Honduras usually has pretty raucous crowds. So if anybody wants to get their fix in before the USL Conference Finals, come join us on www.oz.com.
oz.com. And what night is that game?
Thursday night, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You know what? I'm going to tune into that game because I agree. Honduras is fun to watch.
They usually have the best fans. It's also going to be a very good game. The Herediano Costa Rican team, they're leading 2-0. Away goals don't count. That's actually a new rule that they implemented for this final, which is kind of bizarre, but we'll see what happens. Should be fun. Good
stuff. Well, good luck with you for the rest of the week. We will be in blazing red in Orange County on Saturday. We've got a lot of fun ahead of us.
All right. Awesome. Enjoy the match. Give everybody my best over in Phoenix.
Will do. Take care, Tyler.
All right. See ya.